Hello friends, and welcome to today's episode. The cat found an abandoned baby in the rails, but what he did next shocked everyone. Most cats, especially female cats, can tell when a baby is around. Some people will always protect a child from something that could hurt them. When my daughter was born, my small female cat wouldn't let our German shepherd come near the baby. She once attacked the dog by jumping on his face while the dog ran away, trying to shake the cat off of her face. Long ago, the dog was afraid to go near the baby. I think that when cats are around kids, they often act very nervous because they are afraid of hurting them. Also, cats are usually more calm when babies or toddlers touch them, but they would bite or scratch an adult who did the same thing. When it comes to a small kid, they are less likely to do this and more likely to just run away unless they are really hurt. Cats are a lot smarter than most people think. A study has shown that cats are smarter than dogs. In fact, cats are so smart that they don't follow orders because they don't see the point. I think they might see something that smells and looks familiar, but acts in a totally different, powerless way. Also, I've read that cats think of us as bigger, stupid cats, so human kids would look like huge, strange kittens to them. Also, people usually think of cats as being aloof and independent, but queen female cats with litters will sometimes come together like lionesses in the wild, which could spread to their mixed group of humans, cats, and sometimes dogs. Cats have a much better sense of smell than we do, so they can probably smell both the baby's mother and father on it. If your cat accepts the new parents as part of its family, it will look after the baby just like it would a kitten from a cat higher in the group than the cat. How that baby, that cat, and the people relate to each other is up to the humans. The parents shouldn't let the cat sleep with the baby. Instead, they should let the cat sit or lie somewhere higher than the baby so it can watch the baby. Most cats will then let the parents know that the baby needs something, like a diaper change or a feed, by looking at the part of the baby that needs attention. If mom or dad then take care of the baby, the cat will still keep an eye on the child. Train horns were sounding. In the dark, the watch officer heard a cat meow. He felt bad for the poor animal and put on the emergency brake right away. But when the duty officer saw this amazing mama cat warming a baby in a blanket between the rails, it was another treat. Who would be so cruel to a baby? When animals act more like people than we do. Katie, the cat, saw that the baby was in trouble and knew she had to do something to help. She didn't even think about running away and going the opposite way of the crying, because she knew she couldn't leave the child. She knew she had to help in some way, which is what makes the story so amazing. It's a story about an unexpected hero and the natural connection between animals and people. But to really understand the story, we need to know more about where it all happened and who was involved, a Russian man called Anton. Anton has spent a big part of his life living in a big apartment building with a lot of friends and people he knows from work. But not every friend is a person. A cat named Katie lives in the main hall, which is also in this area. Katie probably went to the Vladivostok station for the first time in 2012 and loved it so much that she didn't want to leave. Lucky for them, none of the workers had any problems with the new cat joining their team. They knew it could get cold outside, and they wanted the cat to be as safe and happy as possible. Because of this, they made sure Katie had food and water, and that she was recognized when they walked by with touches and hellos. Katie's life in the station building was perfect for about 3 years, but in 2015, something upset her daily routine. Katie was a quiet cat who kept to herself. When she started crying and meowing at the top of her voice, the workers around her were shocked and upset. One worker thought that Katie was being hurt in some way, so she left her house right away to find out what was going on. She ran down to find Katie, but someone was right behind her. Katie's cries were heard by more than just this worker. Anton, who saved the cat, also heard the loud noise from his office and knew something was wrong. Katie was such an important part of his life that she couldn't even imagine how he would feel if something happened to her. So Anton did what everyone else did and went downstairs to where Katie usually slept. He found her sitting there and making noise. Katie wasn't alone soon became clear to them. The two cops looked at each other for a few seconds as they took in what was happening. Katie was in her usual spot, looking up at them, but there was a new person next to her. A baby was lying behind the trash chute in the box Katie usually slept in. The workers were too busy and didn't know what was going on, especially since Katie was protecting the baby who seemed to have been left there and was clearly upset. Katie heard the baby crying, and for some reason, she chose to take care of the child who had been left alone. She didn't hiss at him or try to scare him. Instead, she took care of the baby like it was her own and made sure he was okay. She laid down next to the baby to keep him warm And the baby stopped crying as soon as she got into the bed. Anton and the other people who lived in the town were completely shocked by what they saw near the train tracks. A Russian TV station called RT talked to Anton about what happened after the event. During this interview, she was asked what his first thought was when he saw Katie sleeping next to a baby who had been left alone. He said that he was so confused at first that he didn't know what to do. He didn't realize Katie had been keeping the baby warm for hours while trying to get people's attention until he really looked at the situation. Katie had done an amazing thing by protecting the child from the hard weather outside. She may have even saved the baby's life. People around Katie were very pleased by her and what she did to save the child's life, but they were also very worried about the kid. Was it okay that it had been there for so long? What happened to his parents? Irina could tell right away that the baby was very young. He wasn't a baby, but he was probably around 2 months old and still very fragile. Katie had already called for help, so they decided to do the same. They called the cops and the ambulance. But they didn't expect Katie to be so protective of the baby. In fact, Katie didn't want to lose sight of the baby at all. Because of this, Katie went everywhere the baby went. However, Katie's caring side didn't end there. The hospital is usually close to the station, so the ambulance crew thought it would be best to take the abandoned baby there so they could give him a thorough checkup and give him a safe, warm place to stay until they could find him a place to live. People who saw Katie in person could tell that she was a very smart cat. She knew what was going on and that the baby needed help. This cat wouldn't stop looking for her new friend until she knew he was safe. In fact, workers at the station confirmed that Katie sat by the road for hours after her baby was taken away. It was almost like she was waiting for him to come back safely so she could keep taking care of him. As soon as the baby arrived at the hospital, he was taken to the children's ward to be cared for. As soon as the hospital staff and Luna heard that the baby was also safe, they went straight to their next job. They had to find his parents or someone who knew something about where he came from. Katie has been treated like a star since this crazy thing happened. People who live in the station block are very proud of her for taking care of the baby and doing everything she could to make sure he was as safe as she could make him. Even after the police showed up, Katie was such an important part of their lives. They also wanted to help the baby that she had saved. Everyone seems to agree that if Katie hadn't been there to keep the baby warm, the hard weather of a Russian winter would have killed the baby for sure. After all, keeping kids warm is important for their health. Even doctors have said that the baby wouldn't have survived. Locals and people who heard about the story have called Katie a hero for what she did to keep the baby boy safe. Some people have thought that the baby's parents might have felt they couldn't take care of him, but were too afraid to take him to the hospital or an agency. Some people have also asked if they knew Katie would keep an eye out for the baby and tell someone if she saw him. It was pretty amazing what Katie did to protect the baby boy. It's hard to understand how Katie knew what to do. Some people think it must have been in her nature, maybe even her desire to be a mother. People know that cats have strong desires to care for their young, but that's not all. Things like this are often hard to break down. But that's why you should hold on tight when you find someone you can trust. We still don't know if the baby was found and returned to his family or not. And, to be honest, it still hurts to think about how he was left behind. It's hard to believe that someone would leave a baby alone like that with no one to care for him. But he was saved by this cat, so that was one good thing. Because of the cat, the baby might one day find a home. Two parents can be very happy with this baby. People all over the world are now very happy. And to be honest, we wouldn't be shocked if this cute baby got adopted right away because of. That's it for today, friends. Please let us know what you think about this story. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon for more amazing stories.